Hello. My name is Pat, and I am here to tell you about what was the Zhou Dynasty. The Zhou Dynasty, from 1046 to 56 BC, was a Chinese dynasty that followed the Shang dynasty and preceded the Qin dynasty. Although the Zhou dynasty lasted longer than any other dynasty in Chinese history, the actual political and military control of China by the Ji family lasted only until 771 BC, a period known as the Western Zhou. During the Zhou dynasty, the use of iron was introduced to China, though this period of Chinese history produced what many consider the zenith of Chinese bronzeware making. The dynasty also spans the period in which the written script evolved into its modern form with the use of an archaic clerical script that emerged during the late Warring States period. According to Chinese legend, the Zhou lineage began with Emperor Ku and proceeded from him to Qi, Buku, Zhu, and then Gonglu, before Gugong Danfu moved the Zhou clan from Bin to an area in the Hui River Valley, where they founded a town that became central to the Zhou clan's growing prosperity. Gugong Danfu's son, named Jilai, fought against the Rong as a vassal of the Shang dynasty's King Wending until the king killed him. Jilai's son, King Wen of Zhou, moved the Zhou capital downstream to Fengao. Around 1046 BC, Wen's son, King Wu of Zhou, led an army of 45,000 men and 300 chariots across the Yellow River and defeated the Shang king Di Xin at the Battle of Mu, marking the beginning of the Zhou dynasty. Though King Wu died just a few years after the Battle of Mu, the Duke of Zhou assisted the young and inexperienced King Cheng in consolidating power for the Ji line. He managed a war against rebellious Zhou princes in the eastern lowlands, allied with feudal rulers and Shang remnants. He also formulated the Mandate of Heaven doctrine to counter Shang claims to a divine right of rule. He founded Chenzhou as an eastern capital, and set up the Fengtian feudal system designed to maintain Zhou authority as it expanded its rule over a larger amount of territory. However, this decentralized system became strained as the familial relationship between Zhou kings and regional rulers thinned over generations and peripheral territories developed local power and prestige on par with that of the Zhou. When King Yu replaced Queen Shen with the concubine Baosi, and designated Baosi's son as the crown prince, the former queen's powerful father, the Marquis of Shen, joined forces with Conrong to sack the western capital of Haojing in 770 BC. Nobles from Zheng, Lu, Qin, Zhu, and Shen declared the Marquis's grandson, Ji Yizhu, as the new king. The capital was moved eastward in 770 BC from Haojing to Chenzhou. Because of this shift, historians divide the Zhou era into the Western Zhou, lasting up until 771 BC, and the Eastern Zhou from 770 up to 256 BC. The Eastern Zhou period, characterized by a breakup of Zhou territory into states that were essentially independent, is further divided into two sub-periods. The first, from 722 to 481 BC, is called the Spring and Autumn period, after a famous historical chronicle of the time. The second is known as the Warring States period, 403 to 21 BC, after another famous chronicle and initiated by the partitioning of Jin. The Eastern Zhou period is also designated as the period of the 100 schools of thought, a golden age of influential cultural and intellectual expansion facilitated by relative freedom of expression. Although there were a host of schools, Four of them came to influence Chinese government and culture in meaningful ways: Confucianism, Mohism, Taoism and legalism. The changes brought on played a large part in the decline of the Zhou dynasty. With the royal line broken, the power of the Zhou court gradually diminished, and the fragmentation of the kingdom accelerated. From King Ping's reign onwards, the Zhou kings ruled in name only, with true power lying in the hands of regional nobles. Towards the end of the Zhou dynasty, the nobles did not even bother to symbolically acknowledge loyalty to the Ji family, declaring themselves to be independent kings. The dynasty ended in 256 BC when the last king of Zhou died and none of his sons proclaimed the nominal title of King of China. Qin Shi Huang's unification of China concluded in 221 BC with the establishment of the Qin dynasty.